My husband has been killing my houseplants with bleach, and he doesn't regret it. I, F31, have many houseplants and even some that were quite expensive and were gifts from my sister. Within the last 6 months at least a third of my plants have died. I have had houseplants my whole life due to my late mother's own love of houseplants, and I know a lot about plants. The death of the plants didn't seem related to lack of light, or inconsistent watering, or lack of nutrients, or even root rot. They just died very suddenly. I tried to not let it upset me too much because plants die and it was not any of the expensive ones, until now. My sister gave me a 5-leaf Monstera albo-rooted plant for my birthday 2 months ago. It was beautiful. This morning I was crying pretty hard about it as I unpotted it and took a look at the roots, and I was looking hard at this plant and roots to see if its death was pest related, and that's when I noticed a smell. I sniffed my potting mix and I smelled bleach. The only other adult person in my home with unlimited and unobserved access to my plants is my husband, M32. I wasn't able to talk to him for several hours, but when I could speak to him I very calmly but very directly asked if he had done something to my plants. He denied it at first. I said I smelled bleach in the potting mix of the albo my sister had gotten me and that the only person that could have put it there was him, and then he caved. He said he was putting small amounts of bleach into the fertilizer water jugs I prepare. I started crying. I asked him why would you do this? You know I love these plants, why would you destroy them? He didn't really answer, nor did he really apologize. The trust one had in him is absolutely gone. I think maybe counseling can help us, but he is the one that did this, but I'm the one that would have to set up the counseling. The angry part of me just wants to be done with the relationship. I know that might seem overboard, as we are married and share a child, but I feel now that I'm not safe around my husband. After our conversation yesterday I needed space. I spent the night in my daughter's room on a trundle bed. I am going to text my husband today. He usually communicates easier and opens up more via text, rather than face to face. I am going to ask for a reason and I'll see what he says. The townhome we live in is mine and my sister's, our inheritance from my mother. My husband has an office/den/gaming room that is his personal space, and there are no plants there. There are also no plants in the kitchen. I'm not a plant hoarder. Like he has a room for himself, I also have a sunroom, and that is where the concentration of plants live. He has no reason to go in there. It's not access to our backyard or anything. Update 1. I did text him and he admitted again to putting bleach in my fertilizer water. He says it wasn't every jug I ever made, so that explains why it wasn't all my plants dying but randomly over the past 6 months. His exact words were that I deserved to be knocked down a peg. After the text communication I went home from work early and I entered his office. I usually respect his space absolutely. I don't even go in there to grab dirty dishes. I don't know what I was looking for, but the hundreds of comments saying he was working up to something worse or already was doing something else really worried me. I went in there and I found a drawer full of my daughter's dolls and dollhouse furniture and little toys. I bought her that dollhouse for her 4th birthday last year and she has loved it. She takes such good care of her toys, but something always ends up missing, and it's always my husband who notices. He lectures her about keeping track of her things and how he won't let her play with her dollhouse if she keeps losing things. He keeps going till she starts to sob. When I hear this going on I always step in and ask him to go take a break. I assumed he was losing his cool. I've told him this is not how to deal with a kid, and he says he just wants her to grow up responsible. I now see it was some weird scheme? Or setup or something? He would steal the stuff and stash it away and point out it was gone to berate our daughter till she cried. My sister and her husband's dad came over this afternoon and they've changed the locks. I've texted him to tell him he isn't coming back and that he can come on Saturday morning to grab his essential things, but that my brother-in-law and another man would be there to watch. My husband won't be welcome in my home anymore and I need to find a lawyer ASAP on Monday. Update 2. My daughter and I are both safe. Without getting into too much detail, but to satiate the curious, my husband, the man I thought I knew, has changed so much that I think of it like him ripping off a mask. He sworn at me, screamed at me, and pushed me to the ground twice and kicked me in the face. Our entire marriage I was never ever afraid of physical violence from this man. The police have been involved. Divorce is still in progress. After an initial period of intense anger my husband seemingly stopped caring at all though. He said he doesn't want any custody and he wants to give up his parental rights of our daughter. He doesn't see her. In the last month I have heard he actually has a new girlfriend. His parents still talk to me. I was on good terms with his mom. Also, a friend of my husband's who has been friends with him since college reached out to me to ask what is going on. We texted. He says my husband has ghosted that entire group of friends. He still had after someone in the group called him out for some sort assholish behavior. One positive thing, that is also sad, is that my daughter is bright and wonderful. There's been such a profound change to her behavior since her dad's been gone. She's happy and silly and joyful. I guess there's been a change in both her and my behavior. I think of it like the frog in the boiling pot. I was sitting there boiling to my death and never realized. We lived in a house of walking on eggshells. If my husband was upset, he would infect the house with hostility. I'm not sure I can describe it. I was constantly on guard and never able to relax. I know I failed my daughter whenever I heard her dad yelling at her about the dollhouse. I can say I tried to step in at all times when I heard it going on, but that doesn't seem enough. She is on a waiting list for therapy. Our structure is still the same. She looks like she's thriving, but I just don't know. I just want my daughter to feel safe and loved always. Thank you all for making me realize I was in that boiling pot.